Most people look at Mars and see a planet of rocks. Elon Musk sees hope, but the universe sees a massive silent morgue. For 50 years, Mars has swallowed more than half the missions we sent. It is not just a dead world. It is a cold, calculated killer. Beneath that crimson dust lies the wreckage of our ambition. Welcome to the graveyard of the solar system, where every dream goes to die in silence. We call it Earth 2, a perfect backup plan for humanity. We imagine lush forests under glass and cities that touch the thin pink Martian sky. But the reality is a glitch in our dreams. That red hue is not life or passion. It is the rust of a world long ago executed. This is a planetary crime scene. A world stripped of its soul and left to rot in the freezing vacuum of space haunting our very existence. As we step into this abyss, remember, you are not visiting a new world. You are trespassing in the largest cemetery in the entire solar system. It all began with a heartbeat that stopped. Deep inside, the Martian engine froze, turning a living dynamo into a cold, motionless block of iron. When the core died, the shield fell. The magnetosphere, the planet's only armor against the sun's fury, simply vanished into the thin, freezing Martian air. Without a shield, the solar wind became a cosmic scalpel. It stripped the atmosphere away, breath by breath, leaving the planet naked and gasping for air. Imagine standing there without protection. The sun you love on Earth would become your executioner, piercing through your skin with invisible lethal needles. Radiation would shred your DNA like a paper document in a blender. Within minutes, your very blueprint of life would dissolve into unrecognizable chaotic dust. The air is a ghost, the shield is a memory, and the ground is a radiation trap. Mars does not want you to live there. It is a prison without walls. A place where the light of the stars brings only death, and the darkness offers no refuge at all. The heart of Mars is cold, and in that coldness it has prepared a permanent bed for anyone brave enough to try and wake it. Then there is the silence, a silence so heavy it feels like a physical weight pressing against your chest, crushing the very air from your lungs. The atmosphere is too thin to carry a scream. Sound waves on Mars are strangled by the CO2, dying before they can reach another ear. If you stood just 3 meters from your friend and shouted with all your might, they would hear nothing but a distorted, ghostly, broken whisper. The high frequencies, the bird song of Earth, the laughter of children, all of it is erased here. Mars is a world that has lost its voice. Loneliness here is not a feeling, it is a physical law. You are trapped in a soundproof box the size of a whole entire planet. Even the wind doesn't howl like it does at home. It moans, a low-frequency vibration that you feel in your bones rather than hear. It is the betrayal of the senses. In this thin silence, your own heartbeat becomes the loudest, most terrifying sound you will ever know. Mars is a master of the silent treatment. It watches you, it waits for you, but it will never, ever speak back to you. Look at these scars. These were once roaring rivers and vast blue oceans that could have rivaled the majesty of our very own Pacific. And the water didn't just leave, it was cursed. Locked away in the frozen underground or torn apart by radiation and cast into the void, a drop of liquid water on the surface would boil and freeze at the same time. Life's most precious nectar is a forbidden fruit here. The floods that carved these canyons were biblical, moving with a force that would dwarf any disaster in human history. Now they are ghosts. Mars is a world that died of thirst while surrounded by its own frozen blood. It is the ultimate irony of a lost civilization. If you stood in the Valles Marineris, the walls would rise 5 times higher than the Grand Canyon, mocking you with their ancient dryness. Every canyon is a tombstone. Every dried-up sea is a mass grave for the life that might have been if only the heart kept beating. The great flood is over. And the age of water is gone. All that remains is the dust, and the dust is hungry for more. Out of the silence comes the monster, a dust storm so massive it swallows the entire planet for months, turning day into a permanent reddish night. These storms are taller than Everest. They are not made of soft sand, but of fine, static-charged particles that cling to everything like a curse. This dust is a weapon. It is as sharp as crushed glass, designed by nature to grind steel into powder and bypass any filter. It invades the lungs of machines, short-circuits the brains of robots, and sands down the hope of any human who dares to breathe it in. When the storm hits, the sun disappears. Your solar panels become useless slabs of metal, and you are left alone in the freezing dark cold. Static electricity dances in the clouds, sparking like the planet's own dying nerves. It is a world-sized blender, and you are the only ingredient left. The wind doesn't just blow, it erases. It erases your tracks, your equipment, and eventually it will erase the memory of you ever being there. The storm is the guardian of the graveyard. It ensures that anything that falls here stays buried under 1,000 layers of red, sharp dust. Even the ground beneath your feet is a trap. The soil is laced with perchlorates, toxic salts that turn the very earth into a chemical weapon. Forget the movies. You cannot grow food here. To touch this soil is to touch industrial bleach, a poison that destroys life at the root. The dust clings to your suit, hitches a ride into your habitat, and slowly poisons the very air you breathe. The planet itself is toxic. It is a chemical minefield. And every step you take kicks up a cloud of invisible death, a reminder that this land was never meant for us. Nature here didn't just die, it turned bitter. It transformed its very skin into a shield of poison to keep the living far, far away. The chemistry of Mars is a rejection of biology. It is a world that has replaced the cycle of life with the cycle of corrosion. You are walking on a floor of lie and radiation. There is no sanctuary, no Earth 2, only a beautiful red chemical nightmare waiting to happen. Mars is not just a graveyard of bodies and machines, it is a graveyard of the very concept of growth and life itself. And then, there are the ghosts, the metal people we sent to scout the way, now standing as frozen sentinels in the red, dusty wind. They are the pioneers who never came home. Opportunity, Spirit, Phoenix, each one a mechanical corpse left to rot in the cold, lonely dark. They sit there, staring back at the blue dot they once called home. Their batteries drained and their missions ended in the freezing silence. Mars is littered with our failures. Every piece of twisted metal is a story of a dream that crashed against the harsh reality of the void. We didn't just send machines, we sent pieces of ourselves, and Mars took them all one by one and added them to its collection. But here is the most terrifying thought. What if Mars wasn't always like this? What if it was once even more alive than Earth is now? The question isn't, is there life? The question is, what happened to it? Did they fail to protect their world just as we are failing ours? Remember the last words of Opportunity. My battery is low and it's getting dark. It wasn't just a status report, it was a planetary epitaph. In that darkness, Mars whispers its final truth. Every world has an end. Every sun eventually sets on the things we love the most. Mars is not our enemy. It is our mirror. It is a grim reminder from the depths of the universe that life is a fragile, rare miracle. Our blue home is the exception, not the rule. We live on a tiny island of life in the middle of a vast, silent, cosmic graveyard. So look at the red planet and see it for what it truly is. A warning written in rust and dust across the stars of our destiny. If you were the last person on Earth, would you choose to go to this graveyard to start again? Let us know your thoughts below.